Hello soulmates, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time being here, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for clicking on this video. Today I'll be showing you how to achieve this style that you see on the screen. It is a layered circle dress with a yoke inset. So if that is something that you would like to know, do continue watching. So for this project, you're going to need your basic bodice pattern. I'm using my basic bodice pattern. If you don't know how I achieve my basic bodice pattern, I'm going to put a link in the description box so you'll know where to find it. I'll be using this fabric for this project, and I'll be using this net for the yoke inset. So let's begin. So for my basic bodice pattern, this is just my basic bodice pattern, and I've included my underbust measurement. So this is my chest line, this is my bust point line, this is my underbust line, and this is my waistline. Because I want this to be a bustier top, have a bustier top, I'm going to manipulate the underbust, and I'm gonna contour the underbust in order to get the bustier effect. So I'm going to go under the underbust here, and you're going to go in a 1/4 inch more of what you did on the waistline. So my waist, I did a 1/4 inch on both sides. So what I'm going to do on the underbust, I'm going to go in 1 inch, and then I'm going to connect those lines like this. Okay, so now what you're going to do, before we finish this one, we're gonna go ahead and find the midpoint of this shoulder line. Mine is this point right here. And what you're gonna do, you're gonna connect it to the bust point line. So you know this is my bust point line right here. So I'm gonna take my ruler and connect this line, because I want this dress to have a shoulder dart instead of a armhole dart. You could choose whichever you want, but I want it that way. And what I'm going to do, since I already went down from my bust point line 1 inch, I'm going to connect with a curve this 1 inch point to this point right there. I'm gonna do this. I could go ahead and do a straight line first, and then I actually curve it. So you have to blend up these sharp edges. So I'm going to use my ruler, blend up, right? I'm going to blend up these sharp edges, and then I'm also going to blend up this little part here. Okay, so this is what you're going to have. So all of this is gonna go off. All right, so remember we have a bust dart here, but let's talk about the yoke inset. So what I want you to do, I want you to go ahead and determine what neckline you want. So I want a neckline that is 3.5 inches, okay, and I want a depth not too deep, about 4 inches, and then I'm going to connect those points right here. Okay, so if you notice on the pattern, or on the if you want this to be curvy, you could go ahead, you can curve it and not slant it. So you notice for the yoke inset, you're going to go down to your waistline, and you're going to determine how wide you want it. So if you want it to be wide, you could do 1 inch right here. But if you don't want it to be too revealing, you could do 1/2 inch, because remember this is unfold. So if I do 1 inch, when I open my pattern, after I cut it and I open it, you'll find that you're going to have a 2-inch space. All right, so that 2-inch space, you would it would be 2 inches wide, so it would look something like this. But if you do 1/2 inch, you're going to have 1 inch. So I am going to do 1 inch, a 1 inch space for my yoke, because when I open it, I don't want it to be too open. And what you're going to do, you're going to determine what neckline you want. So this is okay for me. It's just that I'm going to make it a little bit curvier. I'm going to make it a little bit curvier, like this. Because all I'm going to do is that I'm going to take this measurement all the way to the 1 inch, and that will serve as my yoke. Okay, so I'm going to take this from here, from that 3.5 inch point, and I'm going to take it all the way down. So let me use a pencil first, just to make the line a bit straight. So I'm going to do this. Okay. Because I don't have a long ruler. Hope you can see what I'm doing. Okay. So this will be off. So what I'm going to use my marker and show you what I just did. So this is the curve that you're going to have. If you want, you could take it wider, but just know that when you open it, it's going to be wide. And I don't want that small. Okay. So this here, all of this here is gonna be my yoke. That's where my yoke is going to be. Now, you could determine if you want the neckline deeper. That's totally depends on you. So what I'm going to do also, because this is not gonna have a sleeve on it, I'm gonna go up from my chest line about 1/2 inch more. Okay, and I'm gonna redraw the armhole, and you're gonna do that also to the back. You're gonna do that to the back also, because anything you do to the front, you have to do it to the back. So I'm gonna go up 1/2 inch more, and what I'm gonna do, I'm going to redraw. You're also gonna come in. You're gonna come in from your shoulder line about 1 inch, because you don't want your shirt to be peeking off your shoulders. You don't want that. So what you're gonna do, you're going to redraw your armhole. You're gonna redraw your armhole to match this line right here, because this is a dress without sleeve. Okay, and this is what you're gonna have. Okay, so this now becomes your new armhole, and I'm going to just go ahead and add my seam allowance at the side of 1 inch. I usually do that so I don't forget. 1 inch, and I'm gonna connect. Okay. Alright, so I hope you understand what I'm doing so far. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to close my bust dart and transfer it to the shoulder line. So I'm going to close my bust dart and show the dart and transfer it to my shoulder line. Okay, So let me put away the back for a little while. And I'm gonna cut this open all the way down to the bust line right there. Stop there, and then you're going to close up this dart. So now you're going to redraw your line here to make it straight. Okay, there you go. And pretty much this is completed. All you have to do now is to go ahead and add seam allowance all around your pattern. So we're gonna cut out the front part. Let me just go ahead and add my 1/2 inch at the bottom so that I don't forget. Now I'm gonna cut out the front. So what you're going to do, you're going to write on your pattern so that you don't. So this is 1, that's the yoke, this is 2, and this is 3. And you're going to indicate, you're going to cut and fold. Okay, add your seam allowance. I'm going to use my arrows to tell me that I'm supposed to add my seam allowance here. Okay, add seam allowance here, here, also here and here. So you have to make some markings in order for you to understand what you're doing. So this is the front of the pattern. Okay, we're going to move on to the back. So the back is easy to do. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to find the midpoint of my shoulder because I'm going to just make an opening. So that's right here. Okay, right here. And I'm going to bring this a line touching the dart tip right there. Okay, so remember we went over 3.5 inches for neckline. You have to do the same. And I'm gonna come down 1 inch. Depends on you, what you want. And then you're going to draw a line here. You're going to make your curve. Okay, so this is what you're gonna have. Remember that this is your zipper allowance. So let me just put that here. Put my zipper allowance as 1 inch allowance. Okay, so remember we went up here 1/2 inch as we did the front. You have to remember to do this, okay? And we also went in here 1 inch because it's gonna be an off shoulder, not off shoulder, but a top without, a dress without sleeve. And what you're going to do, you're going to draw that armhole again. So this becomes your new armhole. Okay, so this line is not your armhole line anymore. Okay, so don't make that mistake when you're cutting. And that's it for the back. All we're gonna do is just cut this out. So this is 1 and this is 2. All right, so now we're gonna cut this out. Oh, one more thing, we didn't add our sewing allowance. So remember we add sewing allowance to the bottom. Let me just go ahead and add that before we cut it out. Let me take this back. See how easy it is to forget? Okay, so since we did it to the back, let's do it to the front also. So we're gonna add 1/2 inch. We're gonna add it also to here, and we also added our 1 inch for the side seam. So let's add it. So for side seam allowance, we added 1 inch. So we have to add it too, so that we don't get confused. Okay, so that's it. All right, so now we can cut this out. So we're gonna indicate that we need to put seam allowance here, 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 here. Okay, and that's it. And if you put seam allowance around your armhole, you go ahead and you do that. So I'm gonna cut this out. Guys, so this is the back of the pattern, and this is the front of the pattern. This is the middle, and this is the yoke. So this is all you'll need to get the top part of this pattern. Okay. All right, so let's talk about the bottom part. Let's put this aside. Talk about the bottom part. So for the bottom part, remember the bottom part has 3 tiers of circle skirt. So in order to get the bottom of the skirt, what you need to do is you need to ask yourself how tall you want the dress to be. So the upper part of my dress is about 17 inches from my nape to my from my nape to my waist. Now I want the dress to be about 47 inches long. So it means then that if I should deduct the upper part from the entire dress, I'll have 30 inches. So it means that one of my flare, the longest flare is gonna be 30 inches. So before we talk about the length, let's talk about how you'll get the radius, because you're gonna need your radius in order to create this dress. Okay, so what you're going to do is that you're going to take your waist. You're gonna add 1 inch to your waist, because the zipper at the back, you're gonna need allowance for that. So you're gonna take your exact waist measurement plus add 1 to it for your zipper allowance. So my waist is 36, and if I add 1 to that, I'm gonna get 37. So because the lower part is done using half circles, you're going to divide that new waist measurement, which is 37 inches, by 3.142, and that is just half of a full circle. You know, a full circle is 6.28. Pi is 6.28. So half of that is 3.142, because that's a half circle. So when you divide that, you're going to get 11.75. Now, this 11.75 is gonna be the radius of your skirt. So in order to know how much you need to fold and how much you need to cut, you'll have to add this radius to the length of each tier. So I need my tiers to be at equal distance. So my first tier, I want it to be 30 inches long. My second tier, the one in the middle, I want it to be 20 inches long. And the final tier, which is the smaller one, I want it to be 10 inches long. So what I'm going to do to get the first tier, the length of how much fabric I'll need, I'm going to add 30 inches. Take 30 inches, add it to the 11.75. I'm going to get 41.75 inches, right? Similarly, for the second tier, I'm going to take my 20 inches. That's the length of the second tier I want. Add it to the 11.75. I'm going to get 31.75. And similarly, the third tier, I'm going to add the 10 inches plus 11.75. It's going to give me 21.75. I hope you understand that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you how to fold in order to get these tiers. So I'm just going to show you one tier, and then you could cut the rest for all of them. Okay, so this is the width of my fabric. Ensure, remember we said that the longest one, this is the width, right? This comes by about 45 inches, so it's gonna be enough to get what we want. So we said that the first one is going to be 41.75. So you're gonna ensure that the width of your fabric is enough. This is about 45. So it's gonna be enough for it. And then what I'm going to do along my length, so this is the length, this is the continuous piece of the fabric, the one that goes on, depends on how much yards you have. What you're going to do, you're going to measure the 41.5. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna measure 41.75. Let's say 42, and I'm gonna fold it from there. So you're gonna fold it like this. Okay, so you're going to ensure that you have 41.75 unfold. Let me double check. Or 42 inches is fine. All right, this is okay for me. All right, this is fine. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut this off so that I can manage it. The length that I want, 41.75. Ensure that you have it unfold like this. 1, 2, unfold. So you're gonna turn it like this, and on the folded edge, you're going to just fold it like in a triangle form, like this. Okay? And what you're going to do, you're going to cut out the length that you need. So starting at the tip it's gonna be, you're gonna take your radius, and I said that our radius is 11.75, right? So this is here. You're gonna take your 11.75 all the way around. Okay. And then, remember we said we need the length to be 41. So from the tip, I'm just gonna take my 41, just to be accurate. So from the tip, I'm taking it all the way down until I get to 42. I'm just gonna add ½ an inch for seam allowance. Okay, and I'm gonna do that all the way around, then cut it out. Okay, 42. Okay, that's what you have. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna cut it out, and you're gonna do the same thing for the other two pieces. Okay. So I'm gonna do the same thing for the other two. This is the third one. Okay, so this is the bottom. Okay guys, we're done. So this is the pattern aspect. So this is all you're going to need. So I went ahead and I cut out my pattern pieces, and I also cut the lining. This is the yoke, this is the middle, this is the back, and this is the skirt part. 1, 2, 3 layers. So if you find this helpful, do not forget to give me a thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe, turn on the post notification bell so you'll be notified each time I make a video. Until we meet again, I'll see you in my next one. Bye.